Hello and welcome to Untitled. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Zachary Allen. It's been a while. Well, before I get into it too much and address the hiatus and what's been going on for the last couple of weeks, well, really more like months now, we got to get to our sponsor. Today's sponsor is birds. Are they just little flying animals or government drones? Birds. All right. A lot going on. Not really, but I'm going to say that so it makes me sound important. So I took a little time off, and I want you all to know that it's not because I don't like doing this. It's not because I don't like you. It's not because of the last podcast I did. It's not because I wasn't getting the viewership that I wanted or anything like that. I just simply had a lot of shit going on. And I was not handling it well. The time-wise, was not handling my time management well. For those of you who may also know this, I have another podcast that I do with my friend Mike, and I apologize, I gotta move myself here. This chair is on its last leg, and I kind of want to redesign this. That's kind of one of the things that I would like to do before I get going too deep into more podcasting, but I'd like to do this from a couch. I feel like it'd be better to do from a couch. Yeah. That's besides the point. Hiatus. Took some time off of doing the podcast. Been doing the other podcast a lot for my friend Mike. And we're going to be continuing his back up here shortly. We're going to be meeting today, hopefully, to go over that. But I've been busy. Started a new venture work-wise. Been traveling with that. Went to Tennessee for the New Year's and Christmas time with my family. A good amount of my family has moved from San Diego down to just outside of Nashville. Kind of similar to how we are to St. Louis up here north. They're like that, but south of Nashville. So if you guys remember a few months back, I had on Phil. And Phil is a friend of mine who owns a consulting business. And we were talking about trust and a lot of different things in that podcast. But at the time I was working overnight, I had taken some time away from coaching. So for those of you who don't know, I've pretty much completely shut down my one-to-one coaching business. Yes, I still do have this lovely gym behind me, and I'll get to that here shortly. But in all reality, the one-to-one coaching space I felt was just not something I wanted to do anymore. And look, it could be 100% me. It could be 100% the people. And I don't want a client to like hear this and think that, gosh, this freaking chair. I don't want a client to hear this and think that like I'm quitting because of them. The truth is it's more to do with me and how I handle that. So when it comes to one-to-one coaching, if I'm seeing you for weight loss and you have 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds to lose, the issue is more than likely not that you're just eating too much and not exercising. That's a part of the problem. That's a symptom of a deeper problem. But a lot of the time, if you're severely obese, you've probably got something else going on. And the eating and the lack of exercise is simply just it's a way that you cope. It's a way that you cope with whatever else is going on up there. It is for me. It is for every single one of my clients that I've had it, and every single client that I didn't have. If you think you're just big because you're big, you're fooling yourself. And with that comes the litany of things tied to this individual's weight loss. And what I found is that my one-to-one coaching business turned into a counseling business. So I was rarely talking about weight loss, and I was almost exclusively talking about people's personal problems. And it bordered on counseling, like, having, a rough job, or having, a stressful home life, or whatever it is, all these things going on, sick family members. All those problems became my problems in a way, because of the way that I chose to run my business, because I chose to be more personable. There are personal trainers doing one-to-one coaching online, charging 3 to 4 times as much as I charge. And all they do is give you a PDF or a Trainerize app. And they check in with you via text. And if you get maybe an hour face-to-face time with them throughout it. Well, these people are, I like to give my people 20, 30 minutes a week. A lot of time these conversations will go longer because of the nature of the conversations. Well, anyways, it's not so much that I don't care about people's personal problems. It's just that I was burnt out of having those conversations consistently without the progress. So when I'm having those conversations with somebody and they're making progress, no big deal. We're working through it. We're getting through the issues that are keeping this person stuck in place. And when you're not, and you just keep coming to me with the same set of issues over and over and over again, I lose my damn mind. It doesn't matter how much you're paying me. I don't want you as a client. So all that to say, back in June, I completely, it was really before that. Truthfully, this goes back to my injury. And when my injury happened and I had to take some time off because can't really train people if I can barely like stand up and do things like that. So I transitioned mainly to just like an online coaching where I was just doing more phone calls and then wasn't training people in person. And then eventually what I just told you started happening and it just wore on me. So, I took a job working overnights because my back was actually starting to feel pretty good back in June. So my idea was I'll take this job. It'll help me kind of get my bearings greased again. I'll get moving in the right direction. It was more of a manual labor type job. So I thought it would be a good stress test for my back. And at the same time, I just wanted something to do that was completely different from what I was doing. The last couple of years really just beat the shit out of me. So I wanted an easy job just for a short period of time. Well, a few months into that, Phil and I did our podcast. And a few months later, he asked me, hey, would you be interested in coming to work for me? And I really didn't want to at first. One part of me thought it was a bit of a charity case. And, Phil may listen to this. And if he does, he knows we've had this conversation and Phil's a big boy and he can handle this. It's the nature of what he does. Gosh, this freaking chair is pissing me off, people. I'm about to just get rid of this chair and go bring over a weightlifting bench and just come sit here. When it gets cold down here in the basement, that cylinder shrinks a little bit and it just doesn't quite fit in there. And it, for some reason, just starts to slowly drop down anytime I move. I'm trying to sit still, but I just feel myself slowly dropping. He offers me a job, gives me a few weeks to think about it. The job involves a tremendous amount of travel compared to what I'm used to doing, obviously, working from home and then taking a job just working locally. So been traveling a little bit with him. Listen to this bullshit. So we leave on, I don't know, last week, 2 weeks ago. We leave, we head up to Chicago, go meet with a client on the first day. Day before we leave, my son gets a stomach bug. He's puking. We get him. He seems to be feeling a little bit better, but he's still dealing with the nausea and the fallout of that. I leave Monday morning, get out to Illinois, get through the first day of work, go out to dinner to this awesome Italian place, eat this great slice of lasagna, some appetizers, get back to the hotel, hanging out, go to sleep. Midnight, I wake up in the cold sweats and I got the stomach bug. So I'm yakking. I'm sick in this hotel on my first day. And I got to text Phil at 4 a.m, 5 a.m. Hey dude, I've been up all night puking. I thought maybe food poisoning, one-time thing. I'll puke. I'll feel better. I'll go to work in the morning. I'll tell Phil hey, I'm sorry, I'm a little off, blah, blah, blah. Well, it doesn't happen. I'm puking all night. So I text him, "Hey, I'm done. I can't leave the hotel, dude. I'm sick." So unfortunately, that is the day we were supposed to leave. So I have to check out of my hotel. He gets me a late checkout. I'm in the room sick all day. Come down. He still has to go work because he's there for a client. So what do? I just kind of hang out in the lobby. I've got nowhere to go. I'm sick, falling asleep in the lobby of this hotel. We then have to drive from Chicago to Iowa in the blizzard, while like the worst part of the blizzard. And this is the first blizzard that came through, or the first part of the blizzard that came through up there. So we're driving through it, make it down to Iowa, and then we're there, still sick for a couple of days. Then next thing you know, we got to drive from Iowa back to Missouri in the second part of the blizzard. So needless to say, it's been a crazy start to my new year. But a big part of, give me a sec, everybody. I'm going to switch to the other chair. This thing is pissing me off beyond effing belief. If this one starts dropping, that's just an indicator of a later topic that we're going to get to. Yeah, birds. Yeah, but a big part of last year was starting this podcast, and it was a very important thing for me to do because this is something that is going to make me sound like the arrogant narcissist I am. I think I'm good at what I do. I think I'm good at helping people with weight loss. I think I have good ideas on it. I think I'm knowledgeable on it. And I genuinely do believe I can help people. But the format in which I was trying to help people sucked. The truth is working one-to-one with people is great if you're a doctor. It's great if you are a therapist. But when you're working on a scale of millions of people need help, and I'm not trying to help all millions of them, I'm just trying to help a few of those millions. Because what people have to understand is my ideas on weight loss are my ideas on weight loss. They're not going to help everybody. And they're only going to help a specific type of person. My ideas on health, my ideas on fitness, my ideas on life in general, they're not going to work for everyone. So that immediately takes an audience and shrinks it down. And what I really want to do is get the information out there to people and put it out there in this podcast type format and start a discussion, really. Like, start to get people talking about it. It doesn't have to mean you're talking with me. We can talk about it. But it could be other people. And this isn't just, physical health. Like everything that I've said to this point, it all revolves on that mind, body, spirit. And with one of those areas of your life is completely shit, they generally all look like shit. So, the podcast, I want to be a big part of my life in 2024, and I plan on it being that way. I do plan breaks in there where I won't be putting out content. I do plan to put on different types of content, solo stuff and more interview stuff, and different types of stuff. It's not all going to be health, fitness. It's not all going to be addiction. It's not all going to be these specific topics. Like, I may get on here and talk with someone about music for a long period of time if it just happens to get into that. I don't want to force the conversation into anything. And I may just come on here and tell you all about Kid Cudi's new album, Insano, which just dropped, and it's pretty freaking awesome. And you should go give it a listen. That's my one plug for Kid Cudi. I'm a big Kid Cudi fan, and this album is just bangers. But yeah, when you take time off though, like I did, and you're trying to get yourself started back up, and let's just go with this podcast, for example. So I took a few months off of doing this podcast while still doing the other one. So I was still keeping my teeth sharp in a way and still doing the podcast just differently. And so like starting this back up was not that hard. It was like, okay, I just need to write some stuff down, get myself some notes, because really this is what happens. I pride myself on my ability to just recall information without notes. It's something that maybe I'm not the most accurate with, but generally I can recall information pretty well. And I try not to do this with any sort of notes. And what I've learned is that, unfortunately, that only works when I'm like just hanging out talking with other people. When you're talking by yourself, it's really difficult to just come up with new stuff on the moment without some sort of cue or something. So I now am going to have like a little note card. It's in front of me here. You guys can't see it. It literally has like 5 bullet points on it of just things to keep me kind of on track, so that if I ever wander off up here, I can look back at my card and go, okay, yeah, I was talking about that. And it just kind of keeps me on track a little bit. Part of the ADHD, part of just trying to be better at this and keep the thoughts flowing a little bit. Now, podcast, it's going to be more solo stuff than I was doing, because really I only had like 2 solo episodes in the first, I guess, season-ish, the first few episodes. And I'd like to do more. I'd like to do more of these conversations where I pick a topic and just talk about it, whether it be talking shit about it, whether it be talking informationally about it, whether it be joking about it, whatever it is. Like, I want to get on here and talk about things that mean something to me. I might get on here one day and talk all about weight loss. I might get on here all day and talk about a Bible verse. I might get on here all day and rant about some book or some podcast that I was listening to or some research that I was doing. Like, I want to share information with you guys that I think will help you in those areas of your life, your mind, body, and spirit. And like a lot of the time we think about spirit as this like metaphysical, it's only related to God thing, but really, yes, it is that part of you. But at the same time, your spirit is like, it's like the essence of things that are good for you. The reason they call like, alcohol, like when I think about alcohol being called spirits, I think about it like lifting your spirits, like raising you up. Like, you don't even like, just having a beer with somebody sometimes is enough to just like, all right, we're just sitting here shooting the shit and having a beer, and I feel like my spirits are raised. So like when I say I want to bring you things that are good for your spirit, yes, they may have a spiritual context and a religious context, but it may also have a spiritual context and just, hey, this is like soup for your soul. Like, it's good for you. It's just good information to have. And that's my subjective opinion. So take the information, do what you will with it. Fast forward through it. I don't care. Well, I do kind of care, because I want to know, like, why did you fast forward through it? But we'll get to that another time. But I want to do more interviews with people, and I don't want the interviews to be all about like sad stuff. I want there to be some uplifting stuff. But unfortunately, the reason why things are generally uplifting is because they were sad at one time. So you kind of have to have the rainy days to appreciate the sunny days, if you know what I mean. So yeah, just want to get the podcast going back up. But it is hard. It's hard to start things up when you haven't done them before, or even when you have done them and you've taken some time off. And like, so like with the podcast, still was doing the other one, but with like my health and fitness shit, dude, I've been completely off. Like, let me take a drink before I get into this. I might even need a vape after that, because like I want to go into this and I want to hit this hard, but I don't want to pull. I don't want to hide anything. Like, I don't want this to be like, oh, Zach's got it all figured out, let's tune into Zach's podcast. No, Zach doesn't have it all figured out. And that's what I'm trying to share with you guys, is that no matter how much you think you got it figured out, you don't. And I'm sharing some information that is a little bit vulnerable, but at the same time, experts aren't always right. And I don't say to myself, Zach, you're an expert, like putting myself on the level of like a scientist. I just mean that if you were to take 100% of the population and give them a test on diet, health, fitness, weight loss, I would score in the top 2 to 5%, I believe, truthfully. And I believe that makes me an expert if I'm in the top 2 to 5% of people on knowledge when it comes to that. Yeah, and we're talking about people on a global scale. That's what I mean. I'm not talking about this on like this microcosm level. in the grand context, I know a lot of information. And it's not because I created it or I know it just because I know it. It's because I've studied it and I've done some stuff and I've screwed up. This is all general information. This is some anecdotal, some objective. I have measured this and I have looked at this and I have read this and I have observed this for myself. But all of this to say, my opinions are my opinions. I'm going to share them unabashedly. I'm going to give people who I am. You don't have to like it. It's okay. I don't like it sometimes. Like, fuck. You think I like myself all the time? You're freaking crazy. Man, it's hard to start stuff back up again. So with the weightlifting, I've got no excuse. Give me an excuse that you have for yourself. You're busy. You're a mom. You're a dad. You're got to cook. You work. You travel. Your kids are in extracurriculars. You need XYZ, taking care of a sick family member, blah, blah, blah. All right. All of those things have applied to me at some point in my life. And I'd say a good amount of them apply to me right now. I just told you I have no excuse though, because at the end of the day, I'm still 100% in control of my schedule. Now, when I first started this whole thing, years and years ago, trying to lose the weight, I had this like perspective change on life where I looked at things and said, okay, if I'm miserable right now and I do nothing, I remain miserable. I don't like that. But if I do something, I'm going to be miserable, but there's a chance that I won't be anymore. Now, I'm 100% miserable in one situation, and maybe let's just, for the benefit of this, make it easy. A 50% chance that I'm not miserable after trying to lose weight. Yeah, so I adopted essentially this perspective of I am better off if I do this. And that motivated me that I'm going to be better off. I believed it, that I was going to be better off. So that motivation became a belief. And where I'm at right now is really that all I have is motivation and I don't believe shit. And I think a part of that is that I don't necessarily believe that my body will get back to the place that I want it to be at. So either A, I have to shift my perspective on what I want my body to be, or B, I need to find a new route to go down, or there's a third option, which is what I'm doing, which is just to not do anything at all. So once again, I'm at the crossroad of motivation and belief, and I'm staring down motivation and I'm going, okay, I have 100,000 reasons to do this and they're all good. Every single one of those is a good reason to do this. To get up in the morning, to set my alarm, to wake up before everybody else is up, before anybody else needs me, and get in some Zach time in the gym. I don't have to drive in the snow. It's literally right here. I don't have to go anywhere. I just wake up, put on shoes, and walk downstairs. I've got an infinite amount of knowledge in my head for the most part of how to create a workout. So it's not that I don't have stuff to do. And for $6 a month, I could buy the daily pump if I really wanted to and just have Julian Smith's workouts. Like, no excuse. But I don't believe that doing any of it is going to help. And like, I'm having to be really honest with myself about that, is that I don't believe that my back will ever get better without surgery. Part of me let go for too long to feel like I want that back. I loved lifting weights, but the way that I was lifting weights, not that it was bad or unhealthy or I was lifting super heavyweight or bad form, but I was lifting for aesthetics only. Just for the way that I look. And that's because I looked like shit for so long, people. Like, you got to understand that in my eyes, I looked horrible. for years. And in a lot of other people's eyes, like it wasn't just that I was fat. I looked unhealthy. Not that I look healthy right now, but that's what I'm saying. Like I have all the motivation in the world to do this. But what I'm doing isn't that. Like I'm not doing anything. So I see this in a lot of other people because this is a huge problem with the weight loss stuff in general, like why I hated running a weight loss business. I hated trying to sell somebody or convince someone that they needed to lose weight when they are the ones who contacted me because they wanted to lose weight. So then it comes down to you either believe that I can help you or not. And that's fine. Like if you don't believe that I can help you, that's fine. Just go lose weight another way. But like, don't get to me and then that be the place where you turn away and be like, I don't want to do it because this, like, I don't want to do Zach's way. You don't have to do it my way. You don't have to do it anyway that anyone else has done before. I didn't do it anyway anyone else had done before. I did it my way. So like, it was a combination of things that I had learned from the people before me. And that's what I've really tried to do for people. It's like when you've tried to lose weight 50 times in your life and you've been successful 50 times, but you've also been unsuccessful in that you've put the weight back on 49 times, you learn some shit. Like you learn. If you... I think there's like some famous saying of somebody. It's Edison. Fucking Edison. Edison, his whole thing on the light bulb. Oh, Edison invented 101 light bulbs before he actually got one that worked. And it's like, well, no, he learned 99 ways to not make a light bulb. And it's like, yeah, but that's the truth. I've learned 99 ways that do not help, or I've learned 49 ways that did not help me lose weight. And I've learned one way that did. And the one way that did was taking all the things and putting them together into one. So getting that same mindset applied to myself now is much more difficult. And it's made me empathize with people a little bit more. But at the same time, I still don't believe I have an excuse, which means I don't believe you have an excuse for not doing something. So how do we then do something? Well, we start lining things up in front of us so that it puts us in motion to move towards this new goal. So the first thing is defining that point that we got to aim at and then going after it. So for me, I think a big part of it is that the place in which I'm aiming at, I know is impossible for me to reach. It's like aiming at perfection and constantly being mad that you're not perfect. Like, God, why did you make me capable of sinning? Like, I'm so mad that I'm sinning. You know, that classic Paul thing. Why do I keep doing these things that I don't want to do? And it's like, well, because you're capable of them. But at the same time, like, that you will continue to do the things that you don't want to do until you set a path away from those things. And that's very intentional. So like, Another big part of it that I realized for me is that I can't do one without the other. I know that eating good does nothing for me other than, yes, eating good is good for you in general. Sorry, that is a shitty statement. I shouldn't have said that. Let's roll that back. Eating good is good for you, but eating good to lose weight without understanding your calorie intake versus your calorie output, thus exercising and trying to maintain some level of activity in your life, is completely just backwards. It doesn't make sense because it's like, why would I eat all this healthy food and then still sit on the couch and watch Netflix? Or why would I exercise and go to the gym and beat the hell out of myself in there and then go and get horrible food? So one needs to happen with the other. And where I've been stuck is that my eating has really been a big bad place for me, because while I did do really well for like 5+ years after my weight loss of keeping it off and really staying away from the unhealthy food, when I hurt my back, it was like a different type of depression. And it was like a new old depression again, where I felt trapped. And it's that mindset of the lack of belief in myself. So like, Yeah, you're listening to a podcast by a guy who struggles to believe in himself. But at the same time, me sharing that in this is not in an attempt to be like, oh, watch me overcome my fear or watch me overcome this. It's more like, look, I was able to do all this to this point with that going on. So how much more can I do when I actually start working on toppling that wall? I really want people to believe in themselves. I really want to believe in myself. But having unrealistic beliefs about yourself, for yourself, may be preventing you from moving forward in any way, because that's the wall that I ran into that I've tried to walk myself through to this point. I feel like finally I can take a deep breath. I got all this shit out. And for those of you wondering about the vape thing, I vaped the entire time throughout my weight loss. I vaped the entire time being able to run. I really don't have any issues with my lungs due to it. Do I know it's unhealthy for me? Absolutely. But look, I'm trying to make incremental changes. I had quit this for a good chunk of time and kind of was just getting to a point where I was like, if I don't make a semi bad decision, I'm going to make a catastrophic decision. It's like I didn't have the emotional or whatever you want to call it. Like I did not have the wherewithal to keep myself from doing something dumb. So I went with like what I felt was the least of the dumb decisions I could make. Anyways, I would like to move back away from that. I don't have any problem with nicotine. I don't think nicotine is a problem. And really it's not so much any sort of like addiction thing that I'm worried about. Like, yeah, am I addicted to nicotine? Absolutely. 100%. But like I'm not too worried about the nicotine. I'm more worried that I would like to get the vaping away and just move to some form of like a nicotine lozenge or like a Zen or something. So I got to get back to that. Took a deep breath, back on track here. I really want people to believe in themselves. I really want to be able to believe in myself, and I'm getting back to that. But it starts by building confidence and building some momentum towards something. So maybe my motivation isn't enough to get me in the gym today, but maybe my motivation got me to come down here and get my gym clean and get it ready and get it prepped and pick it up, get everything wiped down to make sure I have everything together in order, because I am going to start. Oh, and part B of that, I don't want to do it in the morning. like, and that's what I've tried to do for the last 3 days. I've tried to wake up in the morning and come do it. Because that's what I was doing before. So this is part of what I mean about believing in yourself, but having unrealistic beliefs. Like, it's unrealistic for me to believe, if I don't have a track record of this, that I'm going to start magically waking up at 5 a.m. and getting down here and working out for an hour and then reading for an hour and all this stuff, like all these big, crazy life changes. But maybe I can start waking up in the morning early, and maybe I take a walk in the morning and eventually turn that into the exercise of lifting weights and walking or whatever it is. So like what I mean is too many people fail to believe in themselves because what they believe about themselves is unbelievable. It's unbelievable for anybody. It's not just unbelievable for you. It's unbelievable for anybody. A tiger can't change its stripes. But it can get really good at camouflaging them. And I'm not saying hide from yourself. Like, don't fucking read into this more than I'm asking you to. What I'm saying is if you want to be something that you're not, you can't do it all at once. I've done it at one time in my life. And what I can tell you is the stars will align for you at some point in something in your life. And it will take you down a path that you never thought imaginable, that you never thought you could go down. It will show you something about yourself unfathomable. And you may catch lightning in that bottle, and you may run that out for 80 years. You may run that out for 2 years. You may run that out for 15 years, whatever it is. But for you to think that, like, that's the normal, hey, to each his own. What I'm trying to get you into is this realistic mindset of beliefs where I can still make some change and I can still make progress and it can still be good enough. And I can believe in myself through progress of, like, I don't have to believe in myself all at once, but I have to have that shift of thought towards belief, because you will never be able to do something that you don't believe you can do. That's a fact. It's impossible. So when I say that motivation means nothing, it's because you don't have the belief aspect there. It's motivation plus belief. So, everybody, if you're still here, God bless you. The hell is wrong with you? I love y'all. I want to do more of these. I would like to try to commit to doing something once a week. Hopefully that is available with travel. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on the podcast and you have a story worth telling, or even not worth telling, maybe you're the most boring person in the whole world, we'll try to make you interesting. Let's hang out. Come on the podcast. Come tell me your story. Come tell the world a little bit about you. Yeah. Get out of here. Go. Kick rocks. Boo.